Welcome back to Real Airgun Adventures. So, quick video, hopefully. Going to talk about this thing. This is my homemade DIY hog saddle tripod. Now this is the Mark III tripod. It's actually quite a good tripod, this one, by comparison to the others. It's a steel frame, but it's still light. It's nice and strong. The previous one was a cheap, I guess, probably eBay or somewhere, that I'd used for filming. It got a bit bent and knocked around, so I thought I'd give it a go with the hog saddle. It worked a treat. So I've decided, after quite a while, to upgrade, put this better tripod to use, and use my hog saddle. Now, this is quite worn and looking a bit the worse for wear, so the time has come for a bit of a renew, which I thought would be ideal for me to take the thing apart, show you how it's made, and tell you how you can build your own. Now, this particular tripod and the previous one had this kind of shoe arrangement, so that's actually screwed on, and that clips in here. It's a quick release. Now, in the old days, you didn't get quick release tripods. You bought an adapter which screwed onto the tripod, and the other end screwed onto the camera, and you got your quick release that way. But most of these sort of mid-range, even some of the lower range tripods now, have this built-in quick release system, which is exactly what you want. So what I'll do is I'll strip this down to its base components, show you how it's made, explain to you what I did, then I'll just rebuild it. What I'm going to do, this sort of layered sponge has really seen better days. Also, the bottom isn't really thick enough, and as you can see, there's a bolt just touching through there where it's worn, so I'm going to replace that, keeping the bolt, replacing the liner. So I'm going to put some thicker, some polystyrene actually in here on the bottom, put this foam stuff back, rewrap the whole thing, and then fit it back on my tripod, and I should have a much improved, and of course with the extra stability of this better tripod, safer and more usable shooting rest. But to be honest, even like that, it was okay. There is one thing missing. There was a piece of Velcro that wrapped around the whole thing to stop the rifle from falling out. In my wisdom, I cut a chunk off of that for something else, and now it's too short. So I'll see what I can find so I can complete it for the video, but I will need to buy a new piece of heavy duty Velcro. Anyway, waffling again, I'll be right back. Okay, back in the room. So this is the actual saddle part. It's just 3 pieces of softwood screwed together with a touch of glue. Now, this material is tongue and groove flooring. In fact, you can still see the groove in the bottom there, but I cut the tongues off. So I literally cut 3 pieces, 4 inches long, or 10 centimeters if you're metric. Trimmed off the tongues on 2, trimmed off the tongue on the other one to allow myself a flat surface, touch of glue, pre-drilled it, and wound in some countersunk screws. And those screws are about 30mm long to give it a bit of strength, which it actually does have. There's a hole in the middle, and to get the middle, you just draw a cross, a line from the corner to the corner, a line from that corner to that corner, and there's your middle. Now, on the tripod, or tripod shoe as I call it, they look like this generally speaking, and on the underside there's a recess. One of those days. One take, I'm not going to mess around. So on the underside there's a recess, and there's a screw in there with usually a flat head. Literally just unscrew that. If it won't unscrew, put a punch in the top, give it a tap, it will pop out, and you'll have a nice round hole just where you need it. Now, I've got a 5mm by 40mm machine screw with a hexagon style head, taking Allen key, and with a washer, because the hole's quite big in these because they're captive, so the hole's larger than it needs to be. Pop that through the bottom till it pokes out the top like so. I've got another washer which I've put on there, and then I've got corresponding 5mm hexagon nut. The hexagon nut's the simplest way to do this. Now, bearing in mind that all of this stuff is hardened steel, and this is softwood. When I put that over my screw, and I've got the washer on the bottom too, pop that in there, pop another washer on the inside, because I want to be able to really tighten this down. Before you tighten it down, make sure it's facing the right way. You don't want it on sideways. And I mention that because I've done that several times. So I've got it set up. I have an advantage here in that I've painted this, so I've got a mark in the paint of exactly where that should be. But it's always best just pop it on the tripod to make sure everything is where it should be. I like the Allen key, less tools, and literally I've just got hold of that hexagon nut between my fingers there, and it's winding up beautifully. It's going to be nice and tight, not going to have any problems. I don't need to get a spanner or a socket on there. Let it bite into the wood a little bit, let the washer spread that load. When you're happy that that's good and tight, because you don't want to be readjusting this, although it's not going to be too much of a problem to give that a nip up because of the recess underneath. Effectively, that's the hard work done. Now it needs to be lined. You can take a Dremel or a junior hacksaw and take off the extra piece of the nut there. I would have done normally, but my rubber sheeting that I used buried it completely, but it's worn, it's got thinner. So what I'm planning to use this time is some polystyrene, about 20 mil thick, 2 centimeters. Cut that to size, pop it in, which is where we are there now. That's the bottom done. That bolt's nowhere near protruding out of there. I've got the same for the sides. What I'm going to do is I'm going to duct tape those in position, and I'm going to camo wrap the whole thing. Now, for duct tape, buy decent duct tape, don't buy that horrible cheap stuff. This is 3Ms, Minnesota mining and something, isn't it? It's pretty good stuff. It's not going to be taking any load, it is literally just to keep this in place while you work, but it is going to add a bit of reinforcement to the surface as well. So when you're happy, just stick it down. I'm going to give that a trim, but I don't want that interfering with the fit onto the tripod. Hence I've got one of these at hand. Now the nice thing about duct tape is if you get it wrong, it does peel off reasonably easily. It's not too bad. If it's been on for a while, left it on there for a few weeks and forgotten about it, different story. So it's worth just trimming everything up so it's a reasonably nice, tidy job. I suppose it depends how you feel about what a tidy job is. But I do like to not have things overlapping and overhanging and poking out where they shouldn't. I also find actually that I'm a little bit more inclined to use things if they look good. So that's the bottom stuck on. I'm going to do the same with the sides. I'm going to reuse the camo wrap that I used last time, simply because it's an elasticy stretch type. There's no sticky tack to it at all, it literally sticks to itself. So I've just peeled it off, wound it back on, I've wound it around an oil bottle, and then I'm going to literally put it back on when I finish. I'll probably need a bit more than I've got, and I do need to do something with the legs of the tripod anyway. To be honest, I think I'm going to paint them. I think I'm going to spray them, and I might add a bit of camo tape around the top, because obviously that doesn't fold, so that's not going to scratch off too much. You can also add some bungee, and you can stuff in foliage from your surroundings if you want to really go for the camouflage look. So there you go, that's that side stuck on with a bit of tape. You can go right round if you want. I'm conscious of maintaining this gap because I have actually worked this out to be a snug fit on most of my rifles. There'll be one or two that are a bit tight, and there'll be one or two that are a bit loose. That sounds terrible, doesn't it? It sounds like I've got hundreds of them. I might count them one day actually, so I can give you a definitive figure. But the whole point of this is just to make it tight enough for it to feel snug and secure, but not so tight you have to wrestle it in and out. Also, this particular stuff is packaging that I haven't had to pay for, but as well as that, it's difficult to dispose of. You can't recycle it, so I suppose in my small way, I'm doing my bit for the environment. Anyway, that's that. It needs a camo wrap, and then I'll reassemble it, and we'll come back and have a look. So I'll just cut while I do that, because that is going to be mind-numbingly boring. I'll be right back. Okay, right, there we are. Camo taped and gaffer taped. Now you could spray that, you could paint it, you could get a couple of rolls of this camo wrap, which I probably won't have to do, and you could improve that somewhat, but that is it essentially. And then this plugs back into your tripod. It will depend to a degree on which tripod you buy as to how it fits, but they generally all have a lever that you pull and then reinstate, click it into place, and then there it is, ready to go. So what I'll do is I'll grab a rifle, that one I guess since it's here, or that one, or one of those others. I'll grab a rifle, pop it in, and we'll have a quick look. Be right back. Well, there you go. That's a Hatsan Model 70 sat in there quite happily. Maybe I don't need the Velcro strap, but anyway, moving on. Okay, so there we go. Homemade hog saddle, or DIY hog saddle, easy project. Most expensive component will be the tripod. This particular one I've had kicking around for a while, but I bought it in a charity shop for about a tenner. It was for filming, but the filming ones I've got are better than this for filming, and this is better for the rifle because it's a steel frame. It's still nice and light, it's quite robust, and it's a little bit taller, which is handy. Anyway, that's enough of that. Please like and subscribe. It's a big thank you to all of those who have. It's much appreciated. I'll see you all again soon. I think it's time to go and do some shooting. Been a little while now, hasn't it? See you again soon. Bye for now.